phenomenal. And here's Miss Annie Deng. Annie?
I don't know if I can live up to that introduction. It is such an honor to be here, standing here to address you. And I'm not standing here as myself, as a daughter of China and America, but really echoing the voices of young people all around the world, because this is really about them. This is really about you. This is really about everyone, because we're all in it together. So I was given the task to kind of give you a whirlwind ride in about 5 minutes through this past year, what was going on in the world in terms of youth, climate action, and especially from the United Nations standpoint. So we've heard a name that was just called out, and you can see my brain, so we all know who it is. Miss Greta Thunberg from Sweden. It was just a little over a year ago that this young girl from Sweden was inspired, actually, by movements in the United States. It was the March for Our Lives movement, when young people striked from school because they were fearful from the schoolhouse shootings that threatened their lives. They said, we didn't feel safe, we didn't want to go back. And she thought, wait, but I don't feel safe either with this climate crisis going on. How can I go back to school with that in mind? So she started striking from school until the elections of that year. And her movement carried on every Friday in what we call, as we all know now, as the Fridays for Future movement. Every Friday now, young people from all around the world strike from school to call their governments to act and really put their money where their mouth is, to really change the policies that's causing detrimental damages to our Earth and our lives. And it's not just protesting. We're seeing changes going on all around the world. Young people are rising. We're getting louder, we're getting prominent, we're getting in the faces of those world leaders. And you saw it in the Climate Action Summit this past September. So when the Secretary General finally announced that they're having a summit just about climate action, everybody had their eyes on the date, September 23rd. We all had our hopes pinned on it. We said, this is going to be it. We're going to see a lot happen on this day. So the Fridays for Future movement organized a giant strike the Friday before, on the 20th of September. On that day, we saw over 4 million people come out all around the world, resonating the same call for action. And before that, carrying on, leading up to that date, we were all working diligently, trying to prepare, trying to come up with ways, the solutions to propose to governments to say this is what we want to see. And this is what was happening in the year, in the summer, when we're seeing detrimental disasters with wildfires, with man-made fires, with cyclones, with droughts, with never before high levels of heat striking every corner of the world. With this, we were preparing for action. So for this year's UN Civil Society Conference, we prepared a Youth Climate Compact. In it, we developed 25 pledges, which are individual actions that everyone can take on. Just little ways we can each contribute to the fight against the climate crisis. We all know that we as individuals can't change the world, but we as individuals collectively can. So these 25 pledges were developed through consultations virtually and physically in gatherings very much like this, but also over Zoom, over freeconferencecall.com, over every venue we could find and every possible way to communicate. We gathered young people and older people together at the table and asked, what do you want to see? What do you think can make a difference? What do we want to put in this document? And the result was that Youth Climate Compact. We really feel that this document can be a good primer for the deniers, for the people who don't believe in it, for the people who just don't know enough about it yet. Please, if you haven't read it, please do read it. Have some thoughts, give some feedback, and share it. We'd love to see that inspire more action all around the world. We want it to be the next Declaration of Independence. Really, we want independence from this climate disaster. But that's not it. That's not the only thing that's happening. Not only are we taking this youth climate compact around and inspiring personal action, inspiring more individuals to take responsibility onto themselves to make changes and then inspire their communities and affect policy change, we also, like Patrick already mentioned, drafted another document on the eve of the climate summit itself. We said, hey, we're taking on these responsibilities as young people. No, these are the things we want to see from you, our governments. So that's the Global Youth Climate Action Declaration. A very inspirational document that listed the basic policy changes that we're demanding from our governments. So you're saying our protests are hollow and we don't do anything except leave trash around? Well, here it is. This is what we want to see. And this is a document that we are finalizing through the rest of this month for a formal release on November 8th to be declared and to be shared ahead of the COP conference in Chile on December 2nd. So that's the next thing coming up in the climate action world from the United Nations. But we all must really keep our eyes on them so they actually do what we ask them to do. Because really, the climate action summit that just happened was a little bit of a disappointment. The leaders went up there, made speeches, as always, and just talked. But really, none really lived up to what Greta said we should open up the meeting. We're watching you. And if you fail us, we will never forgive you. Now, some governments did do a part and double their commitment to the Green Climate Fund, which is having its replenishing fundraising conference next week. But really, the money we're talking about here is so little in comparison to the problems that we're facing. Really, they're so grateful to be thinking that we can maybe raise $10 billion at this conference for the next 5 years. Yet, just in comparison, New York City just this Thursday passed the bill to build 4 skyscraper jails at a cost of something around $9 to $33 billion. So really, what are we doing with our world? What are we doing with our money? What is our politicians doing? Where are their priorities? We really need to let them feel the pressure. We need to do our part. We need to make them do their part. They're not, then we need to elect somebody else. That is how democracy works, is it not? There is actually a petition going from the US climate strike team calling for all the candidates for US presidential election that they must debate climate policy. Well, we don't know if that's going to happen. It's not on the radar of a lot of people yet. But if we feel that this is an important issue, we must make it the #1 issue everywhere. We must hear it in the halls of schools, of houses of worship. And it's so great to be here and see all of you because it feels like you are living this fight. You believe in this. And I can learn things everywhere too. So many inspirational projects we're going to hear from today. I'm sure there are models we can take to be replicated all around the world. We're learning things in the halls. Like I just learned that hamburgers equal to 2 months of showers. Think about that. Shall we go vegan tonight? There's so many things we can do, and it all starts with you. I hope that you will join me and the rest of the young people who are ready in this fight. #Youth Climate Compact, #Youth Climate Declaration. We'll see you on social media, and we'll see you in the fight. Thank you.